Put your faith in the light.
Hello guys, welcome to another one of my videos. This is Lightblade, and well guys, in this one we are going to be doing more dungeon testing in the PTR. This time we are going into an Atal'Dazar 20 with Fortified and Tyrannical. So Atal'Dazar in BFA was one of those dungeons that was middle of the pack in terms of difficulty, especially because there was some mob positioning that was very dangerous, especially those honor guards that are those big hulking guys that throw a lot of green stuff on the ground. You're gonna see it when we get there, but Blizzard has nerfed that in this iteration of the dungeon, so it's a lot chiller than it was back in BFA. Okay, so for this run we are going to be using a very peculiar build. So on the left side for the normal Paladin tree, we are not going to be using Bench of a Rat. Instead of that, we are going to be using Divine Purpose. But you say, but Light, isn't that going to make our single target garbage? Yes, but we are going to fix it on the right side. As you can see here, we're not using either Crusading Strikes or Templar Strikes. We're just going to be using default Crusader Strike, you know, the OG Crusader Strikes. This is because both Crusading Strikes and Templar Strikes are very odd to use with the new tier set. This is mostly because Crusading Strikes kind of relies on Hammers of Wrath in AoE to like refill its holy power, you know, and using Hammer of Wrath without the old tier set, the one that makes it hit 5 targets, is very awkward because it's not very efficient in the AoE. And Templar Strikes is awkward because it has a fixed 1 second global cooldown, and with the amount of haste we now have in the new patch, that normally your global cooldown is going to be lower than that 1 second, so pressing Templar Strikes feels very clunky and very sluggish. So that's why the reason we're going to use Crusader Strike. Now, how do we fix our single target damage since we're not going to be taking Vengeful Wrath? This is because we're going to be using Divine Arbiter and Searing Light, both of them at the same time. We are going to pass out Seeing Flames. Okay, so what this does is gives us a pretty decent balance in both single target and AoE damage, which I think is very important in Mythic Plus dungeons. Now, you might be saying, but Divine Arbiter doesn't do too much, you know, in terms of the AoE explosion. Yes, the AoE explosion doesn't do too much, but you have to consider that it is also increasing everything that does Holy Strike damage. That means it's going to increase your Crusader Strike damage, your Hammer of Wrath damage that you're still going to be throwing on single target situations, and it's also more importantly going to increase your Final Verdict damage, which is really important in this patch because we have our tier set that's going to also be increasing the damage of our Final Verdict by making it repeat itself at 25% power, you know. On top of that, we're just gonna use normal Banquets of Justice because I thought of it, you know. If we're going to be using Crusader Strike, we still have guaranteed holy power most of the time to use the 4 holy power spenders, so I'm just gonna press 4 holy power spenders with this build. And yeah, that's going to be the build that we're going to be using. Just a small disclaimer, this is not tested with like simulations or anything. This is something, like I said, I thought out of the top of my head, and it seems that it's pretty good. So maybe if you go into the PTR, test it for yourself, see how it feels, you know. And having said that, now let's go into the run. Okay guys, here we are with the Atal'Dazar run. So this dungeon I think is going to be one of the middle of the pack dungeons in terms of difficulty. It's a pretty chill place. There is still some things that are pretty dangerous that you have to take care of. In these first 3 packs, there's 3 important mobs. One is the Augur, one is the Juggernaut, and one is the Confessor. So the Confessor puts a dome down that makes everything immune to CC. The Augur puts swirlies under you that you have to interrupt. So it's a channeled ability, and that's the important thing that you have to look at. This Fiery Enchant. Whenever the Confessor puts the dome, everything is immune to CC, so you have to, well, just dodge this swirlies then. And the Juggernaut is the guy that's going to try to charge to the farthest away target. In this case, the Evoker is doing a good job just doing the baits on the top of that ledge, so the Juggernaut never actually does the charge. So these mobs are a pretty deadly combo, especially if the dome happens with the Augur cast, like you saw there. You just have to dodge. Here we're gonna face another one of these packs. It's the same thing, Augur, Juggernaut, Confessor. Try to always target the Augur. It's the most annoying mob in this place, well, in this part of the dungeon, you know. Okay, so for one more thing I have to say before this is, for this dungeon, the interaction between Judgment and Wrathful Sanction, our tier set, is bugged on anything that's 5 or more targets. So it's basically not working. So on anything that the tank pulls that's 5 or more targets, I'm basically playing without a tier set in this dungeon. Just a small disclaimer. I'm gonna make a video after this so you guys can like upvote it and make Blizzard know, you know, that our tier set is not working properly on big pulls, because those are the most fun pulls to do. Anyways, back to the dungeon. After we kill that pack, we were going to Shroud here, but it seems like we can't really skip this, or we do the Shroud wrong. Actually, no, the big golem thing sees invisible, so you can't Shroud this pack. You can't invis it, you can't do anything, just have to fight it. The golem is was particularly dangerous I remember in BFA, because it got bigger and it got like a bolstering effect whenever you killed something near it. It seems it's working in the same way, but I don't see it as dangerous as it was in BFA. Basically, you never play these packs because it was just a death sentence back then. Anyways, everything is kind of dying pretty fast. There's another combo of Augur, Juggernaut, Confessor that you just have to deal with, and just nuke the golem, you know. So he is getting the bolstering effect, but it's not as drastically as in BFA. It's not as strong, you know, so they did nerf that. I guess that's because, well, we have to play these mobs. We don't have the portals of Nyalotha that we had in BFA to skip them, you know. Anyways, we're gonna go kill these packs before the first boss. Here we have Augur, Juggernaut, and a Priestess. So the Priestess has an interesting mechanic where she puts those little puddles on the ground, you know, and if she does the transfusion to you, you have to stand in the little puddles, so the Priestess kind of kills itself because she's draining someone that has like bad blood or something. Okay, so no one's doing the mechanic, so we just have to go through it. You can also stop the transfusion with just CC instead of using the puddle mechanic, but you know, if a mob can kill itself with a mechanic, it's better to do that thing, you know. It's going to make the pack a lot faster. If it doesn't, if the transfusion isn't interrupted, the mob's just gonna heal a lot, so it's very annoying. After that, we got the Juggernaut. He is not charging because I think the Evoker is like standing on a little ledge, so the Juggernaut can't charge him, because that charge is pretty dangerous, you know, merciless charge. Here, the Demon Hunter is going to bring that Priestess into this big pack. Sadly, like I said before, our Judgment interaction with Wrathful Sanction is not working properly, so we're basically playing without a tier set in this pack, which is pretty sad, you know. The Divine Toll interaction still works, but the normal judgments actually don't do anything to proc our tier set, so it's very sad. My damage is kind of trash in this pack. Anyways, I hope Blizzard actually gets that done. This pack consists a bunch of it's like one Augur, some Juggernauts, and Priestesses, so it's basically all the mobs that we have talked at until this moment. So we go to the first boss. This boss basically is a freebie because it kills itself. It's pretty easy boss to do. She does like damage on the group, like throws dots on them. And she also spawns the Spirit of Gold. You know, this ad is going to go to the puddles, and it's going to soak one puddle, and that's really bad because you need those puddles so the boss damages itself. You know, you're trying to focus down the Spirit of Gold. Luckily, the Demon Hunter does a suck to the boss before the Spirit gets to the puddle. So you see, we soak the puddles before she does the transfusion cast, and she's draining life off herself. You know, it's pretty easy boss to do. And with the build we're using, we're actually doing pretty decent single target damage. Remember, we are like 440 item level gear at the moment for testing and PTR. Everyone is down to that level, so no huge numbers, but still doing pretty decent damage. The build was the Divine Arbiter. It's an experimental build I was doing in live servers. I was just saying maybe I try it in the PTR as well, you know. She's gonna do another transfusion. We get the debuff, she's going to drain herself down, and we're just gonna finish off the boss after this, you know. Since the boss is low, I think the Demon Hunter is going to just cage the little Spirit of Gold thing, so he doesn't like come, and we can just finish the boss. There's also those gold orbs that you see floating around. Don't touch them. You're gonna get a really nasty dot and very big burst damage on yourself. You might die even on some high levels. So we finish up the Priestess, and we're gonna go to the next part. Here we have a small Frogger scenario, you know. There's going to be fire that's going to be fired from the side. Just don't stand in the fire, you know. Just stop, wait, and pass, you know. If you don't do that, you are going to get cooked because those flames are almost a one-shot, you know. You might be able to survive if you have enough avoidance, but if not, you're going to get toasted like the rogue there. After that, we're going to fight these honor guards. These honor guards are mostly just problem for the tank. They just do a shield bash that hits pretty hard on them, and there's an augur here as well. So if the augur does the fairy enchant, he's going to drop those fairies on the ground, but nothing is happening. So we're just going to destroy this pack. Those mobs used to do an attack the guards that was called Fervent Strike. That means if the tank wasn't near those mobs, the mobs would hit the closest melee character. But I think those are not working anymore because Blizzard has tried to get rid of them. Now we're gonna pull these small pack of little dinosaurs. Don't underestimate them. They do a lot of damage when they jump, especially if a lot of them jump to one target. As you can see there, they're pretty deadly. You know, the mage just got one shot there. I'm popping small defenses here to just kill it. Just be able to destroy them, you know. Again, our tier set is not working on big packs, so that's pretty unfortunate. So damage on this key is pretty skewed, but mostly let's talk about the mechanics of this stuff, you know. The big dinosaur, you know, the pterodactyl is going to do fear, so you just have to interrupt that thing, and that's pretty much it. It's also susceptible to stuns, blinds, disorients, anything. And now we're going to fight the first boss as soon as our mage gets down here. So this boss is Razan. Razan is a pretty simple boss to do, you know. We kind of fail a bit in this fight. Not us, but the whole group, you know. We get a raptor in the first at pull, you know. You don't want to make Razan step on those little ground bone thingies on the ground, you know, because he's going to spawn a raptor. Razan by itself hurts a lot because he puts a really nasty bleed on the tank, so those raptors on the tank as well can be pretty deadly. Other than that, he has a tail mechanic like a dragon, so don't stand directly behind him. He's going to knock you back, which is not good. He also does a fear mechanic, which you have to LOS behind those like walls that you see there. You know, you can also use the stairs. The sides of the stairs are safe for that. There you see the tail mechanic. If someone is directly behind him, he's going to knock you back. And well, yeah, there he also has that pursuit mechanic. You saw the group like running away from Razan. If he catches you, he's going to eat you, and you are going to die because that thing is massively hurt, you know. You can actually bop the person that's getting devoured to save them. I should have actually done that, you know, but I thought that the rogue was gonna banish or something to avoid the mechanic, because effects like that, for example the night elf racial, used to work on Razan. So I'm gonna rest the rogue here, so we can continue the fight. And he's gonna do another terrifying visage. I get a bit greedy here, so I get feared. I'm just gonna bubble out of this. Actually pretty bad use on my bubble. If I got pursuit here, I was cooked because my horse was off, was 3 seconds on cooldown, and I didn't have any bubble or immunity to survive it, you know, because I had forbearance, so I couldn't even use my bubble. It was a really bad bubble on my part. Anyways, those are all the mechanics that Razan have, you know. It's a pretty simple mechanic. Just don't get eaten. At the last seconds of the pursuit, he's going to go a bit faster, so just don't get like overconfident and just stand close to Razan as when your pursuit is ending. Just go far, you know, be safe. Here, well, we have a Tainted Visage that is in a very bad spot. I get dispelled by the healer, good stuff. We have a bunch of raptors. Like, the tank is not taking a lot of damage. I was thinking he would have been, like, dying at this point. But he's fine, you know, he's taking it everything like a champ. Our healer gets eaten. Again, I should have bopped him. I wasn't paying too much attention. Just popping cooldowns and destroying stuff, you know. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much the Razan fight. It's a pretty simple fight, but you can see that it can get out of hand pretty fast. Those raptors, I'm thinking they're going to buff them because they used to be pretty deadly in BFA. I was surprised the tank was able to survive as long as he did with so many up. Anyways, we're going to go to the next part of the dungeon. This dungeon is pretty short in terms of length because, well, unless you make mistakes, this dungeon has very little like mobs that you have to do. It's very tight packed, as I would say. We're gonna fight more of these little dinosaurs. They are pretty deadly, like I said before. If you get jumped, I'm just gonna bop it and play it safe. So if they jump to me, they are immune to the jump, you know. Part of their jump is physical, part of their jump is nature damage, so it's pretty good. Well, pretty good to just pop it out. Now we're gonna go to the next boss, which is Borkal, but first we have to fight this hallway. There's some invisible mobs here, so be careful. Let your tank go first so you don't get shanked and just die. And we have these honor guards that were extremely deadly back in BFA, and I think they're still going to be extremely deadly now. They do a lot of AoE burst. As soon as you destroy totem, you see they're like throwing out those green puddles on the ground and doing AoE damage. It's very deadly on the high fortified keys. I remember these guys were super deadly. There was a pack of 2 of these before the first boss, but I think that has been removed in the new version of the dungeon. So we just have to fight one of them at a time, you know. All these other packs have some honor guards that do those fervent strikes that I don't think are still working, because Blizzard, like I said before, tried to remove most fervent strikes for the game. Sadly, my tier set is not working in any part of here because we have more than 5 mobs all the time, which is a real damn shame. Okay, so other mobs that we have here is the Witch Doctor that throws just normal poison bolts and will try to hex one target. Just interrupt the hex and try to interrupt some of the poison bolts because they do hurt, but try to save mostly your kick, or at least one kick for the hex, you know. And well, we have the shield bearers as well that put that dome down. It can only be interrupted by hard CC, so knocks do not do anything. If you have a monk, for example, if you knock them back, they're gonna still be doing dome cast even though you're knocking them. So just use stuns, blinds, whatever CC you have that's not a knock. Here we're gonna try to skip this pack, but I think we just face pull it, you know. The tank is like, I think just a tad close to it. Yeah, he pulls it, you know. So we're gonna fight another pack of Witch Doctor, another big honor guard, and another one of those shield bearers. So we have the dome, we have the big AoE green stuff going around, and we have the hex if we don't kick it. The group has everything under control. And these packs, like you see, are pretty chill. They're nothing super important. At least my tier set is working here because there's only 4 mobs. It stops working at 5. We're gonna save our cooldowns for next one. I was hoping they pulled this pack on the right, but I'm looking at trash count and we already have a lot of it, you know. We have so much trash count. We overkilled a lot of stuff in this dungeon. This pack on Fortified is going to be pretty intensive, especially because of those green guys. You see, the whole group takes a bunch of damage. In combination with other affixes, I'm pretty sure it's going to be deadly. Here we're going to do a skip that was done sometimes in BFA. You know, you just cage this first guy, just scoot past him, and you don't get seen. Here there is invisible mobs that are going to attack us now, that walk from the stairs until this right and left side. You know, they do a patrol. We're just gonna fight these 2 mobs by themselves, I think. Not gonna do a double pull. The stalkers don't do much, they just leave a poison on the tanks on occasions, you know. I don't see the poison, so I'm thinking that they're just not proccing it. There's the poison, but it seems the tank can actually parry it because the first one didn't go off, but there he has 1 poison. I should dispel him, but he doesn't seem to be taking any damage. Anyways, we're going to try to go in this room without aggroing anything. So the idea was not to fight this pack. The mage is going to sheep, and the demon hunter is going to cage that mob, and we're just gonna pass by. So there's a lot of those small tricks that you can do so you can like avoid packs in this part. Okay, now we're gonna fight Bokal. This is a pretty simple fight. It's mostly a tank and spank after you get rid of the totem. So these 3 totems have to die at the same time. You're gonna see that we make small mistakes and not do that, you know. So everyone has to be kind of watching the other totems. So every totem dies, and you don't have to repeat the phase, because if you fail that, the totems are going to heal and you have to do that all over again. Meanwhile, the boss is going to be doing AoE poisons on everyone in the group. As a paladin, you can use your cleanse to dispel it because it hurts a lot, you know, or you can use the damage to make your shield of vengeance explode like I did there. So I'm watching the totems. Every totem seems fine, you know. Mine is the one that's a bit further behind, but we should be fine as long as someone comes like to help me finish it off, you know. I think someone gets the totem off too fast or too slow. We should have helped this last guy, you know, gets his totem, because we get a reanimated totems are back to full health and we have to do the whole thing again. Luckily, the healer is fine on mana. He seems to be at 100%, so he's fine, you know. The poisons are pretty deadly, like I said, but nothing that we can't handle. Just have to do the totem part all over again. And yeah, you see Volkal, he's going to jump to those like big green puddles. And yeah, just move out of them so you don't die. I'm just gonna use cooldowns on the totem, you know. What can you do? You have to use them, so we get like off this first phase. We're gonna let the mage shield get some value, not to spell the poison on us. And finish off the totems correctly this time. I'm watching the health of everyone else's totem, so I don't get too far ahead and I get a reset. And as soon as the totems die, Fokal goes into a berserk mode and starts doing AoE damage all over the place and leaving a bunch of green puddles. He's still going to do the poison mechanic, so dispel the poison so you don't take much damage in this part. And the tank has to just move him around the room like he's doing at this moment. And that's basically all the fight. He doesn't jump anymore, he's just a tank and smack. Just with some AoE damage on top of that. So pop everything you have here and just finish him up. Finish him as fast as possible, you know. You're never gonna run out of room. Whenever you get to the part where that's already filled, it's going to probably despawn the green stuff. So just try to kill him as fast as possible because he does do a lot of like AoE damage on the group. Pretty simple fight, we'll call. And yeah, our single target damage is not as bad with this build that I'm trying, you know. It's nothing like pretty orthodox. It's mostly just it's a Divine Arbiter plus Searing Light build without one of the talents that improves our Wake of Ashes. It seems to be working pretty well in live servers. I've been testing it out with Crusading Strikes, but I think it works better in PTR without Crusading Strike, with just normal Crusader Strikes, you know, the old version of it, not even Templar Strikes. Because Templar Strikes feels a bit off with a lot of haste because its cooldown, I mean its global cooldown is just 1 second straight, and sometimes you have so much haste that it feels very awkward to play with, you know. Anyways, finish off a call, and we're gonna try to skip this next pack like we did when we got in, but I think we kind of facepull it, which is pretty unfortunate because we have to play it and we have a lot of over trash, you know, over trash pulls, just gonna kill it. This pack is particularly dangerous because we have two casters, which are those venom casters, you know, and I mean the witch doctors that cost venom. Both of them are going to try to do hex, so try to kick those. And the venom blast that hurt a lot. You can see there one of them went off and almost killed the mage, I think. Obviously the honor guard is going to be doing his big AoE green stuff all over the pack, all over the group, I mean. Hurts a lot, so just kill him as fast as possible. This pack used to be a lot more deadly back in BFA because there was two of those honor guards, so there was like double the AoE damage going on the group. Here, I didn't know rogues could do that. That's an AoE blind. So we're going to try to skip it, but as you can see, Blizzard has made sure that you can skip stuff. All these mobs can actually see us, you know, they have the little eye on top of them, so yeah, no skipping. We are going to get past them because of the blind, but as soon as that blind wears off, we're going to get in combat with them. So I think the tank is going to pull these two packs of Screechers and little Saurets. Remember, the Saurets jump on people and they are pretty deadly, so just be careful, pop small defensive, and just nuke them down fast. Okay, the blind were off. The mobs are freed. I went there to stun that shield bearer so it doesn't do the dome. I mean the defender of shield bearer of souls, yeah, that thing. So the tank kind of calls a wipe here, but the group doesn't wipe, you know, we still fight. I'm kicking, I'm trying to do whatever I can to keep the group alive, and I'm thinking we can finish this pack, you know, just heal yourself and keep yourself alive. I think we can finish it. Although we are super off count, we have so much count. I think it's better to just kill it than wiping, you know. It's almost everything's dead, you know. There's only the casters, the shield guy. I get hexed here. It's not a problem. Oh yeah, by the way, if you get hexed, you see that big green circle. If you get dispelled while you have that green circle, anyone in the circle is going to get hexed as well. So don't just insta bubble. Move away from the group and then bubble if you want to remove it from yourself, you know. And if you're a healer, don't insta dispel it. Wait for the person to move away from the group so not everyone gets hexed, because that's basically a wipe if it happens on a high key. Okay, so we actually finished the pack, which is pretty good, you know. It's better than wiping. Although maybe wiping was the correct call, because we already had so much trash. We could have just gone to the next boss after dying, but still. I think it's better to just fight stuff out. Now we're gonna kill another pack of Saurets and one of those pterodactyl thingies. Remember, those Saurets hit really hard, so Just don't underestimate them. Pop a small defensive. Save yourself. Don't let the cast of the fear go off. Not a lot of mechanics on these like little packs. Sadly, tier set wasn't working as well there because there was more than 5 mobs. Well, 5 or more, you know. Kind of a bummer. Literally doing this dungeon with like 25% less damage. Even more than that because Wrathful Sanction itself is not proccing a lot. And now we go to the spider part. So don't touch these spiders or that happens. You just die. Yeah, these spiders are pretty deadly. And the boss also does the same spider. So it's an insta-death if a spider touches you on this boss. Gonna rest our mage friend here. And just gonna get to the last boss, Yasma. You know, the spider lady. Yeah, this is a pretty straightforward fight. There is one kick that you have to do once in a while. And then everyone in the group has to be kind of stacked together when she does the ghost cast. You know, you're gonna see that in just a second. There's Soul Rend, you know, she casts Soul Rend, everyone just stacks together. So you can AoE the ghost that she casts. If a ghost reaches her, she's going to do a big AoE burst of damage on the whole group. And that's pretty deadly. So just don't let that happen. Try to always be stacked with your group, move in a coordinated ball, and just destroy the ghost. Other than that, she's going to do Skewer on the tank, which the tank has to have some mitigation on to take it. Tank is doing a really good job just surviving that. Don't touch any of the spiders, especially when they're glowing big in purple, because that's when they do the most damage, you know, and they also move around more, you know. They're like kind of angry. As a paladin, you can use your bubble and just go around and just touch those spiders to clear them out, but they are going to spawn again, so sometimes it's not as useful to do it. But if you feel overwhelmed, you can actually do that. Here we kill more ghosts so they don't reach Yasma. I'm trying to res this guy, but he seems to be like on LOS, you know, that little stair on the right is LOS, so I moved a bit more in the middle so I have a clear view of him and res him. Just gonna use cooldowns, gonna interrupt those wrecking casts. If they go through, someone is going to die, so never let a cast go off. Should be pretty easy to do it because it's not very often that she does that cast. More skewer stuff on the tank. And yeah, basically that's fight. Dodge spiders, stack with your group, nuke the ads, finish our boss. It seems my tier set is not even working on 4 mobs, you know? Sometimes it's so inconsistent. And someone else dies to spiders. Still have a B-res, so I'm gonna just use it in a second. I almost killed him again. I think he was actually watching because he went on top of a spider, but I think he was fast enough that he didn't actually touch the spider, so that was pretty good. He could have almost died, you know, because the spider was spawning on top of where I was resing. Anyways, we have cooldowns back, and we should be able to finish up this. I'm gonna wait for the ghost cast to go off so I can use cooldowns on this. Oh, those spiders are pretty close to us, you know, so we just use bubble. Whenever you feel pressured, just use bubble, you know. If in doubt, bubble out. That's a good saying to live with. And well, we just finish off the boss. Pretty straightforward fight, that is Yasma. A lot of people are going to die, mostly to the spiders, you know. They move in an erratic manner. They're similar to those bubbles in House of Infusion on the last boss, you know. They move pretty slowly, you know, but sometimes they just move towards you on a very erratic way that you just can't avoid getting hit, you know. It's like a weird hypnosis that they do on you. Here we're gonna just get more ghosts. They seem to die pretty fast. Although this is just a 20, you know. Hierarchy is probably gonna take a lot more to kill than that. I remember that in BFA you always had a Wake of Ashes to stun them because they are undead, so you can actually stun them, all the ghosts, with your Wake of Ashes. Anyways, we finished the key, and our damage is pretty decent considering that for more than half of it we didn't have our tier set proc, you know, it's broken, so we didn't get either the Wrathful Sanction procs and we also didn't get the extra damage from our spenders. But the objective of these videos is mostly to show the mechanics of the dungeon, so I think that was accomplished. And well guys, that's going to be the end of the dungeon run. Hope you enjoyed the content, and if you did, subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video. Thanks for watching, everyone.